Artificial intelligence is set to completely change medicine, promising a future with faster diagnoses and treatments that are personalized just for you. But this incredible tool, it's not just some miracle cure. It's a double-edged sword, and it's forcing us to ask some seriously tough questions, like who's to blame when an algorithm gets it wrong? And can a machine ever truly understand what it means to care for a person? So let's dive into the ethical minefield of AI in medicine.
And look, this isn't just hype, it's not science fiction. AI has already revolutionized the global health scene. It's in our hospitals right now, helping doctors make faster, more accurate diagnoses. The potential here to save lives is just immense. But to really harness that power, we first have to get our heads around the huge challenges that come along with it.
All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the incredible promise of this AI revolution. Then we'll peel back the layers and look at the big picture problems. From there, we'll dig into the really specific dilemmas that doctors are facing every day, tackle that massive question of accountability, and finally, try to imagine what our shared future with AI in medicine is actually going to look like.
So yeah, let's start with that promise. What exactly is this technology that's driving a whole new era in medicine? To really get what's happening, we need to pop the hood and look at the engine that's making it all possible. Okay, so you hear the terms AI and machine learning, or ML, thrown around a lot, sometimes like they're the same thing. But there's a really key difference. Think of it this way. Artificial intelligence is the big, overarching goal, creating smart machines. Machine learning, on the other hand, is one of the most powerful ways we get there. Instead of programming a million rules, we just feed the machine tons of data and let it learn for itself. And that learning process, that's what's really shaking things up in medicine. And this engine is already humming. We're seeing it analyze medical scans with a speed and accuracy that's frankly superhuman. It's helping us discover new drugs way faster than before, and even assisting in really complex robotic surgeries. I mean, from the research lab to the operating table, its impact is everywhere, and it's undeniable. Okay, but with all this incredible power comes a whole new set of problems. Really complex ethical dangers that, honestly, we're just now starting to wrap our heads around.
Here's the most basic rule of thumb. An AI is only as good as the data you feed it. So if that data has hidden biases, and let's be real, most data created by humans does, the AI won't just learn that bias, it can actually amplify it. It's that classic problem, garbage in, garbage out. And in medicine, that can lead to some dangerously unfair or flat-out wrong decisions.
And this is not just a theory. Take a look at IBM's Watson for Oncology. It was this amazing diagnostic tool, right? But it was trained mostly on data from patients in Western countries. So when it was used with patients in China, its recommendations were often less accurate. It led to worse outcomes. This is data bias with real life or death consequences. And then you've got this other kind of weird issue called the black box problem. See, some of the most powerful AI systems are so incredibly complex that even the people who built them can't fully explain how they reached a specific conclusion. The logic is totally hidden inside this metaphorical black box. This creates a massive dilemma. I mean, put yourself in the doctor's shoes for a second. An AI suggests a pretty radical treatment, but it can't tell you why. You have no idea what its reasoning is. Do you trust a black box? How can you possibly tell a patient with confidence that this is the right move when you don't even get the logic yourself? It puts doctors in a completely impossible situation. And on top of the bias and the black boxes, you've got a whole host of other major worries. How do we keep our super sensitive patient data safe? What happens to the jobs of radiologists or other specialists? And maybe the biggest question of all, will this expensive tech just make healthcare inequality even worse, creating a world of haves and have-nots? So now let's zoom in from those huge system-wide problems to the deeper, trickier dilemmas that are really unique to medicine. I mean, these are the kinds of questions that keep doctors and bioethicists awake at night. Okay, so the first set of dilemmas are what ethicists call epistemic considerations. It sounds complicated, but it all boils down to a really fundamental question. How do we check the knowledge that an AI creates? In other words, how can we be absolutely sure that what the AI knows is actually true and something we can trust? This whole trust issue really breaks down into three separate problems. First, the evidence an AI gives you can be inconclusive. You know, your smartwatch flags an irregular heartbeat, but is it a real problem or just a sensor glitch? Second, the evidence can be inscrutable. That's our black box problem again. The AI gives you an answer with zero explanation. And third, the evidence can be totally misguided, just like we saw with IBM Watson, where bad data leads the AI to a bad conclusion. So beyond whether the AI's knowledge is true, we have to ask if the way we're using it is good. These are what you'd call normative considerations. They're all about our values as a society. Is using this tech in this way fair? Is it just? Is it responsible? And this leads to some really tough situations. For example, an AI that's designed to manage hospital resources might prioritize treatments that work best for the largest number of people. That sounds good, but it could mean that a patient with a rare disease gets pushed to the back of the line. Then you've got these transformative effects, like health apps that are constantly giving you recommendations, slowly chipping away at your own ability to make autonomous decisions about your health. So all of these problems, the data bias, the black boxes, the unfair outcomes, they all funnel down into one single monumental and right now totally unanswered question. When the AI messes up, who is responsible? Seriously, think about it. If an algorithm makes a mistake and a patient gets hurt, who takes the fall? This is, without a doubt, the single biggest ethical and legal hurdle that's standing in the way of using AI more widely in medicine. I mean, just look at the lineup of potential suspects. Is it the doctor who maybe didn't even understand the AI's logic but just clicked approve? Is it the programmer who wrote the code months or years ago? What about the hospital that decided to buy and use the system? Or do we have to invent a whole new legal concept and somehow blame the AI itself? As of today, nobody has clear answers. And this is exactly why a concept called traceability is so incredibly important. Traceability is basically the ability to follow the AI's decision-making process from start to finish, like a trail of breadcrumbs. Without that clear trail, finding where an error came from is practically impossible. And if you can't find the source of the error, you can't assign responsibility. It's a huge mess. So, given this absolute minefield of ethical challenges, where do we possibly go from here? What does our AI-powered future in medicine look like? And how do we get there safely? Well, we have to start thinking about the long-term societal risks. I mean, if we start relying on AI for every diagnosis, will doctors' own skills start to fade away? We already talked about the risk of making health inequality even worse. And what happens if our entire healthcare system becomes so dependent on this technology that it becomes a massive vulnerability to, say, a cyber attack or a system-wide failure? The solution isn't to hit the brakes on innovation. It can't be. The only real way forward is through constant dialogue and collaboration. The people creating the AI, the government regulators, the doctors using it, and even us, the patients, we all have to be in on the conversation, working together to build the ethical guardrails to steer this thing in the right direction. Look, AI is here, and it's not going anywhere. It is absolutely going to become the doctor's most powerful partner. But as that partnership grows, we have a really important decision to make. What part of medicine, the compassion, the judgment, the human connection, what part of it must always remain human?